Hi, Fantasia.
Hi, David.
So glad that you can make this time with me. For those of you who are watching us in this interview, I am speaking with Fantasia Painter. She's the author of G-Men, Green Men, and Red Land, Extraterrestrial Miscreants, Federal Jurisdiction, and Exceptional Space, which is in the special issue that I co-edited with Dr. Kim Tallbear. It is one of the most amazing pieces in the journal, at least for me, because I come from the Southwest and you take up the issue of cow mutilations, which was something that was actually happening when I was a kid. It was kind of a great thing to get your proposal. But anyway, thank you so much for making time for us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, David. I'm honored to be a part of this special issue, and I'm really excited to be here with you today.
So where are you at now? Like what position are you in and what's going on in terms of you're working remotely, or where are you?
So I am technically in Davis. I'm currently a UC President's Postdoctoral Fellow in History at UC Davis, go Ags, and where I'm calling from and where I'll be starting in July of 2022 is UC Irvine, where I will be starting as an assistant professor in the Department of Global and International Studies.
Perfect. I love it. And where is your research in general? Because I'm assuming a lot of people who are doing pieces on UFOs and aliens, that isn't their main gig. What is the bigger project?
So my research broadly sits at the intersection of Native American and Indigenous studies and the study of borders and boundaries. So my current book project, titled Bordering the Nation, Land, Life, and Law at the US-Mexico Border and on Indigenous Land, a mouthful, investigates the construction of intra and international borders on Indigenous land in what is today known as Southern Arizona, starting in the 19th century to today.
Wow, that's going to be incredible. I just love it. I love the confluence of topics that you're working on, something very close to my heart, working with a bordered community like myself. I have to ask though, like, since you weren't part of the original working group, which was Sonia Atley, and Willie Lemper, and Kim Tallbear, and we went and did this sort of advisorial role to Breakthrough Listen, which was a SETI affiliate. After we put a call for papers, that's when you got involved. So what was the relationship between this larger project and something as weird as UFOs and settler science?
Okay, I love this question. I'm so glad you asked it. So I came to this essay and the research it's built upon in a roundabout way. And it all began, as many good things do, with beloved 1997 film Men in Black, starring Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. Stay with me, stay with me. So the opening scene, it takes place on a fictional 2-lane highway in Southern Arizona called State Route 375. It's nighttime in the desert. See my background. It looks a lot like the indigenous lands and landscapes I write about in my book. So in the scene, there is this windowless red van that drives up to and pulls over at a group of Border Patrol cars that are obstructing the road. And after recognizing and briefly speaking with the driver, Border Patrol discovers a group of 10 or 12 people in the back who have presumably just been smuggled across the US-Mexico border. So as the undocumented border crossers file out of the van, this black car pulls up and the men in black step out. Agent K, played by Tommy Lee Jones, tells Border Patrol, "We'll take it from here." He then, I know this is a long way to go for a short drink of water, but stay with me. He then speaks to each of the border crossers who are at this point standing in a line on the side of the highway, and he discovers that one of them doesn't speak Spanish. So he dismisses everybody else and tells the Border Patrol agents, kind of in this famous line, "You fellas can hit the road, keep protecting us from the dangerous aliens." And later in the scene, we find out that what we thought was an undocumented border crosser is actually a fugitive extraterrestrial named Mikey.
Right.
And so you've seen the film.
I just remembered that part right now.
So Mikey is this criminal from another planet. He has flippers and fins, and he was only posing as an undocumented border crosser, an alien to Earth posing as an alien to the United States. So this scene, right, that takes place at my current doesn't take place at my current research site, led me down this massive academic rabbit hole to try to understand the doubling that's going on here. And I was interested in two things. At a basic level, I was interested in the relationships and resonances in the cultural or national imaginary between the alien, as in the extraterrestrial, Mikey, and various cultural figures. So in this film, in Men in Black, it's the immigrant. In others, it's the colonizer, the invader, the missionary, even the native. And I'm talking about Avatar. And it turns out there's like a lot of really smart people thinking through and publishing on these same questions. I love reading. I love my job. On a deeper level, and one closer to my work and to the essay I offer in the issue, what struck me about this scene is not only how aliens are imagined in terms of the law, in this case through the terms of international turned interplanetary immigration law, but also how the jurisdiction of the alien is imagined to play out. So the Men in Black represent the secret organization that's both inside and outside of the government with unlimited jurisdictional power. And I was really interested in, or I wondered how these spaces of sovereignty, right, are incorporated or incorporative. And so incorporation, or the delineation of land and authority in the US-Mexico Borderlands, it's something that I'm theorizing in my current book. So, and I think a lot of people will recognize it as a very Native American studies line of inquiry. But to fast forward a little bit and to get to the primary material of the essay, while researching the topic, I encountered what I call in the piece, the Cattle Mutilation Archive, a collection of FBI files released under the Freedom of Information Act and available online through the FBI Vault, which is like so wild, look it up when you have a chance. And the files concern a national string of cattle mutilations in the 70s, which you were just talking about, you grew up around.
Yeah.
And we're talking about like thousands of cows in 21 states dead under, to use a technical term, hella suspicious circumstances.
Yep.
And many people believed and still believe that aliens were to blame. And the best part about the Cattle Mutilation Archive, okay, no, that sounds bad because I'm talking about dead cows.
Right.
What I mean to say is I knew I had to write about it because I found that initially FBI officials didn't have the authority to investigate at all. Much of the archive concerned negotiations over FBI jurisdiction, but ultimately it was decided that the FBI could investigate mutilations if and only if they occurred on Indian reservations on recognized Indian land.
Wow.
So like Indian land in this archive emerges as the condition of possibility for like the official federal search for the alien.
Yeah.
So in the archive, I had federal jurisdiction, Indian land as an exceptional space, and the construction of borders and boundaries. That's my bread and butter. Plus aliens, which
Right.
I mean, as fictional interventionist characters, like from these other worlds, they lend such clear insights into the anxieties and hopes of the national imaginary.
Yeah.
And I'm usually getting at that in terms of imagined and racialized subjects and subjectivities. But this was even better. Like, how cool is that?
Right. And that's one of my actually favorite parts of your piece is that I think it's about 75% of the way through this essay. You have this line where you say it's interesting to imagine that if aliens from another planet do land on Earth, there's a probability they're landing on a reservation or Indian land. And then it's like a semicolon or something. And then you're like, but even if they're not on a reservation, they're still landing on Indian land that's occupied. And I was like, wow, that's such a great double reading of who is the alien at all. And I just think your piece plays with that wonderfully. have to ask you, because I wrote a piece for the journal as well, and I had aha moments where I was like, well, I did not think I'd actually be talking about this. And this happens a lot with writing, where you're like, okay, I'm going to write these like 3 points. And then at some point you're up at night and you're writing, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm actually writing about that. Did you have any of these? Were there any like aha moments or surprises that you were writing about something you did not think you'd be writing about this year?
That's such a good question. Yes. First of all, I talked about it constantly with my family. My family knows so much about aliens now. But okay, without too many spoilers, I do have some really big feelings about this research. I will say that because federal agents were limited by their jurisdiction and the actual investigation files in the archive are authored by local police, those folks saw some gnarly stuff.
Wow.
That was
Yeah.
like my biggest aha moment. So beyond like the typical dead cow, you've got like strange markings, what the officers call precise incisions, tripod tracks, like
Wow.
fluorescent markings. And in one report, the officer wrote that the cow must have been airlifted, mutilated elsewhere, and then like dropped back down from the air. And like the files are just wild. And what never gets answered is who or why or how.
Right. Right.
So
This is crazy. I
yeah.
love it. I also love how like all of us, because of some of Joanne Barker's artwork, because some of the pieces are more about aliens, and some are more about, you might want to say, the borderline of paranormal. I kind of bring that up. I gotta end with this question. Do people now ask you questions about what you believe?
No one has asked me that yet, but
So here we go.
no. But I will tell you that I, as research,
Yep.
watched X-Files
Yeah.
as research. And I'll tell you what I don't believe, which
Okay.
is
I like that.
I for sure do not believe that Scully and Mulder as FBI agents would be out there running around investigating all these crimes and phenomena that are clearly under state jurisdiction. No flipping way. Like the truth may be out there, but if it is, it will be a jurisdictional nightmare to find.
I love that angle on it. Oh, I love it. Joanne Barker, who I used to watch X-Files with her in her apartment in graduate school in Santa Cruz. She's going to get a kick out of that. I love the jurisdictional angle on the truth is out there. And I also love some of the wording in your essay, particularly about the truth being on the res. And I guess as a final, I just want to say, you're a really great writer. Thank you so much for contributing to the special issue.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you saying that. And it has been such a pleasure to be in community with all you folks.
Thank you so much. UC Irvine's very lucky to have you. Have a great night.
You too.
All right, take care.